Jennifer Priest here, and today I want to share with you this really cool project using the Sizzix eclips2. So I got these Cork boxes at a local craft store, and Cork kind of makes me think of back to school and kind of like the 70s, but these were an amazing deal, so I went ahead and bought them, and I thought, you know what, I could use the Sizzix eclips2 to help me make these up to date for now and also make them look really good in my house. What I did is created a pattern in the Sizzix eclips2 software, which is called ecal. And I made this triangle pattern and then cut it out of the vinyl and then transferred it onto the boxes. So I'm going to show you how to do that in the software, and then also in real life how to take the vinyl triangles and apply them to your boxes totally lined up. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. Let's go ahead and get started. Today I'm going to be using the ecal2 software with the Sizzix eclips2 to create a geometric pattern for some boxes that I have in my living room. So I'm using a shape here from the basic shapes that come with the library that's pre-installed with the ecal software. You can also go to the eShape store and select shapes from there as well. So I'm just going to choose this little triangle shape, and you can see right when I place the triangle onto the mat, you can see these arrows that are all the way around it. With the arrows you can resize the triangle. So if I want to keep it with the same aspect ratio, which means the same ratio of height to ratio of width, I'll hold down the shift key and drag. If I didn't hold that down and I dragged that corner, it would resize it all different kinds of ways. So I'm going to go ahead and undo the scale. So the other way to change the size is to click down here on the position and size little four-way arrow that's on the right hand side of the software, and from there you can choose to change the X and Y position, and this requires some math, but you can also change the width and the height. All right, so let's say that my box was 6 inches wide and I wanted to put 3 triangles across the bottom of it. That means each triangle needs to be about 2 inches wide. I like the way that this triangle looks here. I like how tall it is in proportion to the width. So I want to make sure I have the box checked. This says keep proportions. Okay, that's going to keep the aspect ratio in place. I want my triangle to be 2 inches wide, so I'm going to click 2 and then hit enter. And you can see that the height automatically changes. So now that I have this size exactly the way that I want it, I'm going to replicate it so that I can then create a pattern with. So I'm going to go up to Object, I'm going to click Duplicate, and I can choose the different columns, and what's nice is that it will preview here so I can see how everything is going to look. I don't want these to be that far apart, so what I can do is change my horizontal and vertical spacing. So the horizontal spacing is the space between each shape, so I'm going to go ahead and move that a little lower. So if I want them all to touch, I can click 0. Or I don't want them to touch, but I don't want them to be this close either. So I'm going to change it to 0.05 and see how that looks. All right, so that's real close. That's how I want it to look. Now that I have all of my triangles lined up and sized the right size, I'm going to select all of them so that I can create this grouped image so that I can use that to create a pattern later. So I'm going to click Object and Group. Now when I click on this, it will all move together. If I didn't do that, I'm going to show you what that'll look like. If I didn't do that, undo group. If I clicked on it, now I'm moving individual pieces, and that can disrupt my pattern. So to fix that, if you do that by mistake, click Undo. Click to the left and draw a box all the way around the shapes by holding your mouse down and then releasing once you're at the other end of the shape. And then click Object, Group. Now it's all one piece. Now from this, I can create an additional pattern. Now for the next step, I'm going to make sure that this shape is lined all the way up in the corner so that I can easily size my next pieces. So on the position and size little menu here, I'm going to choose 0 for X and 0 for Y, and you can see that it's going to bump this shape exactly right up into the corner. Now I could weld all of the pieces together, and I didn't want to do that because I want a little bit of space between these triangles so that I can peel them up off of the vinyl, and this piece that's left will all be connected and stay on the vinyl sheet. So this is just in the interest of making it easier to get the triangles off of the vinyl. I'm not going to weld this, and I like the look of the triangles having a little bit of space between each other. So to create the next part of this pattern, I want to have it be offset so that it's going to line up in the middle of the opening. And to do that, you could do some math, or you can just kind of visually move it around. Now, sometimes it might help a little bit if you zoom in. So I'm going to go to view and zoom in. And you can also zoom in by hitting Control plus, so that I can just get a little bit better look. See, when I was far away, it looked like this was lined up, but close up, it's not. And what I can do is use these arrows here in the position and size menu to kind of nudge things. Because I don't want these to touch, I want them to be just not touching. All right, so you can get fancy with math here if you want, but you don't have to. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out by hitting Control minus so that I can see my whole screen again. I've selected the entire image, and now I'm going to group that together. And then I can easily duplicate that and put that over the entire page. So I'm going to do 3 rows of that. I'm going to remember to do my spacing, my vertical spacing. I'm going to have that do the same thing. So I want that to be 0.05, just like my horizontal spacing was. Okay, now that you have your pattern all laid out, what we're going to do is go ahead and send it to be cut. So I'm going to click on Cutter, Cardstock Preset. So you want to change this to vinyl, because I'm going to be cutting it out of vinyl. But if you are cutting it out of something else, then choose whatever preset is from here. There's a whole bunch of different ones, and they all work really, really well. So speeds 8, pressures 2. I'm going to go ahead and load my mat, and then I'm going to click cut and send it to the cutter. So here you can see how nicely the Sizzix eclips2 cuts. It cuts really nice and fast. It does a really beautiful cut. I used some washi tape as transfer tape. So everywhere that there were triangles on my sheet of vinyl, I applied some washi tape and then pulled up the triangles. And the washi tape helped keep everything in line. Now, normally you would use like transfer tape or a transfer sheet for this, but that can be a little bit expensive. And sometimes I just find that it's hard to use on surfaces like cork or things that are kind of porous and textured. So, because sometimes it'll want to stick to the surface. So here you can just see I'm using my washi tape, and for the lid, I actually put the triangle partially on and then used a craft knife to cut where the lid meets the box so that it looks like a continuous, lined up, perfect design. Now you can do this with any geometric shape. You don't have to use triangles, so you can do chevrons or squares or circles, whatever you like. I just feel like the triangles kind of made this look a little more cool and modern, and my living room has a lot of gold accents in it, so I felt like this really helped tie it all together with what was in my living room. So you can see these here on my mantle. I have all kinds of great stuff in them, like matches and other things that we need for the fireplace, and it's all hidden in a really cool box. So I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to use a Sizzix eclips2 to create some custom vinyl decals to customize anything in your house.